We're live.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Combatants Wrestling Network. I am your host, AD Nasty. Today I am joined, of course, by my co-host and my brother JB3, who's looking a little worse for wear. And we're joined today by one of the greatest people I know, my brother from another, Nico Suave Rigoli. Gentlemen, starting with you, JB3, how you doing today, brother?
I'm doing all right. Today is Wednesday. NXT is tonight. I'm going to be watching that. Maybe that'll make me feel better. But yeah, as far as wrestling goes, it hasn't been good for me for Raw and SmackDown.
Uh-oh. And Nico, what's going on with you? How you doing today, bro?
It looks like I'm taking up the role of eternal optimist because, some things happened on Raw, more so on Raw than on SmackDown, that has obviously pissed the both of you off. But we're going to do our best to muddle through this and just try to have a nice conversation about the landscape that has changed in WWE and how things might play out over the course of the next year.
Mm. Well, Raw was started this week by the McMahons, well, especially Stephanie coming out. We saw that she went full heel. She's no longer riding that line. I don't know if it was more so for her own character or because she was introducing her brother, the greatest in the world, Shane McMahon. As
That
he's
was
cutting his
actually-
promo, he is interrupted by Mr. Awesome, who jumps him from behind, cracks his own head open, and busts him with a chair. And Shane goes scurrying away. And we learned that right there, The Miz has become part of Raw. How do you guys
I
feel
don't know.
about that?
I don't know how this happened, but somehow the Miz has became hard. I remember Daniel Bryan used to talk about how he was a soft wrestler. And just those little things like the accidental bust open blood just made him look so much hardcore. And the way he went after him in the match at WrestleMania is the Miz. He's a good addition. I like it.
Yeah, I'm happy that The Miz is on Raw. What's going on with you, Nico? What's your feelings on The Miz joining Raw in the segment?
Okay, so this is since the brand extension began, if you will. Miz has been on SmackDown, then on Raw, then on SmackDown again, and now he's back on Raw again. As a singles, and it seems like he's one of those guys that can go from show to show and still be good no matter what you have him do. Like, he will find a way to give the lamest booking decisions the most hype you can possibly give them. Like, he made Curtis Axel and Bo Dallas worthy. He made them relevant, and is to the point that they were able to capitalize off of his departure to SmackDown and then have a bit of a short but pretty popular tag team championship run. So I feel like now that Miz is a face again and he's really over, I feel like there's a lot you can do with him that you couldn't do with him in the first 3 times you switched him between brands.
What do you guys feel? Do you feel that the angle between him and Shane is over with now that he's on Raw, or do you think that'll bleed over into both shows?
I think it'll bleed into Money in the Bank, and that'll be the blow off for the feud. I would assume that because Shane is the best in the world, that he might insert himself into one of the ladder matches, and Miz will also be part of that same ladder match. And I wouldn't be surprised if Shane got his comeuppance there, and then Miz can move on to other things.
That's cool.
See that?
Yeah, I would like that to happen too. That'd be cool. I think an interesting thing about him coming to Raw this time around is even though he went, back and forth before, this is going to be his first go on Raw as a babyface, and he's actually over as a babyface. So it's going to be a whole new set of challengers for him and a whole new set of opportunities, of things to go for. So I think that's going to be a good, it's even though he's been on Raw and SmackDown, that's going to give it a fresh scene.
Now moving on to the controversial and divisive part of Raw. The War Raiders made their debut on Raw, but did they? Rowan and Hansen are now Ivar and Eric, the Viking Experience. Sounds like a Disney ride to me. I get the whole not wanting to use the word war on national, publicized TV and, not wanting that to be chanted, but at the expense of two people who are so over, I don't know. I don't know how to exactly feel about it. I'm not a fan of the name at all. I think they could have come up with something, even if it was last minute, that would have been way easier to say and catchier. If you Google Viking Experience, it's a tour they give in England. They don't even come up. It sounds like a no frills shitty Norwegian cruise line where they don't even take you anywhere. They kind of take you around a moat. And this is the Viking Experience, like a medieval times where you go and you eat gruel and you fake pillage towns. I don't know. I'm not a fan. Nico, what are your thoughts, brother?
So, first, let's mention this because we haven't yet. There were some issues with travel this weekend coming into Raw because Montreal.
New Jersey.
Yes, there were some weather related, and also in the case of Samoa Joe, he was very sick. So they had to really rewrite some stuff on the fly just hours before the show went on the air. But the fact that Hansen and Rowe, or rather Ivar and Eric now, they were able to be on the show. I had originally had a theory that they weren't supposed to be on the show, and then they got a call last minute. But given the travel issues, this had to have been planned in advance. So I take back that theory. But we all agreed these are really good performers.
Great.
Mm-hmm.
But I dare say great.
The name
even the match was all right.
Yeah, even the match was all right. The name change, however, was super unnecessary, at least from the eyes of logical people. Like, there was a toy that WWE put out called Battle Buddies several years ago. You could have changed their team name to that, and it would have probably gotten over better than the Viking Experience. Because now they're just thinking of like, okay, now this tag team's name is going to get changed to something Experience. The Hardy Boys are now the Hardy Boy Experience. So
yeah, even if I know you can't say the Viking Raiders, you're taking two professional football team names and sticking them, but like the Battle Raiders, even like you said, Battle Buddies, right? Battle Raiders, something like.
Oh, you know something? It's not even the name. Like, it's the name. Okay, it's okay. It's the fact that they changed the War Raiders. Whatever. Vince doesn't want to say war on network TV. I figured that's what it was. Whatever. I get it. I guess. But they're gonna change their names from Rue and Hansen, and I think it was Eric, or I don't know, but it's Eric and Ivar now. But you want to know what really, really, really grinds my gears more than anything else? Is the fact that the War Raiders on NXT are the tag team champions. They're baby face tag team champions on NXT. They are a baby face. They have been built as a baby face team since they arrived. Mm-hmm. Baby face team. They had an awesome baby face versus baby face match against Aleister Black and Ricochet at TakeOver. Baby face. They got over as baby faces. And then all of a sudden they debut on Raw as heels on the Revival's team.
As I was watching it with a buddy of mine on Monday Live, that's exactly what he said. Oh, they're paired up, with the heels. They're paired up with the Revival, but they didn't do anything heelish. They didn't cheat tag. They didn't, do anything. And they had no. They were together as a team. I think it was just they needed 4 on one side, 4 on the other, and being the fact that the other 4 guys are known faces, and Rowan Hansen aren't known to the mainstream as we know them.
I
they
get
didn't
that.
do anything heelish. Their win was clean. So
Here's my issue, because you just said their win was clean. Who was their win over? The reigning tag team champions of Raw. Like, were the Ascension backstage? You could have had them debut against the Ascension and protected your reigning champions. Instead, you have an 8-man tag where you have a team that we know and love from NXT making their debut, teaming with a heel team. And granted, we still don't know where their affiliations lie now that they're on the red brand, but still, and good for them, they got a win over the reigning tag team champions, but now that makes the tag team champions look weak.
I mean, I'm in a different mind when it comes to that. I think it makes the team champions look weak if it was a Viking experience versus Ryder and Hawkins. I think if it was 2-on-2 straight up tag match and the belts weren't on the line and they pinned them clean, then it makes your tag team champions look weak. But let's be honest. Zack Ryder and Hawkins are transitional champions who aren't going to have those belts, maybe not even past next week, definitely not past the next pay-per-view. And who cares what they look like?
Yeah, you know, I agree. That whole championship reign, I believe, is just a work to get them to face each other. That's going to be Zack Ryder turning against Kurt Hawkins, because you can see it happen, and Kurt keeps getting the roll of victories, and then Zack Ryder is going to say you were a loser until I came along, and I'm the one who pinned him, blah blah blah, heel turn, and then they can lose the tag team titles and then fight each other. You're probably going to lose them to. I mean, honestly, you could say it's exciting. You got the Usos, you got Aleister Black and Ricochet, well-established tag team, and then you got the War Raiders, which
and you still have the Revival there. I believe the Raw tag division is going through a renaissance at this point. I think putting all these men together, Ricochet and Aleister Black are going to stay together. Like you said, you have the Usos coming over.
which are the greatest tag team in the modern era in the WWE.
So, what are your feelings, Nico, on the tag division?
I mean, you are right. Raw's tag division is going through a renaissance. Bringing in the Usos, that automatically brings the division stock upward, simply because the Usos and the New Day have been the most consistent tag teams over the course of the past half decade.
Yeah, 5-6 years easily.
So just they were both on SmackDown. Now we've brought one to Raw, and I feel having them creates legitimacy again. The main thing is, we all kind of assumed they're going to be transitional champions, but it would still be nice if they could be a little dominant for the short month that they're going to have those titles, so that when someone takes the titles off of them, it makes that win that much more prestigious. That's my thing.
Interesting. Yeah, I believe that the tag team division has a lot of potential. I think maybe we'll just have to wait and see.
Yeah. Like I said, I usually judge these shows really hard, based on as a casual fan and as somebody who, is spending 3 hours of his life. And I said this before on other previous shows. I want to be entertained. I want to care. And I know last week I kind of went hard on them and I ranted a little bit, but I'm going to give this week on both shows a pass. I'm not even going to rate them. I might rate the shakeup as a whole a 1 to 5, but I'm going to give this week a pass. I want to see where they're going. This is their reset, and I'm going to be optimistic. Moving on to optimism and being easy, tranquilo, Andrade moves to Raw, bringing the fiery Selena Vega with him, and had a great match with Finn Balor, catching the win and not winning, but beating the IC champ on his first night on Raw. I was impressed. It's always good to see Andrade. It's always great to see him with another excellent performer. It brings out the best in both men. And yeah, I don't mind seeing him on Raw. What do you think, Nico?
Andrade is my pick to win Money in the Bank this year.
Really?
Yes. Like they teased. So Zelina Vega had a photo on her Instagram a few weeks ago, and it was of her with one of the women's titles, and it was of Andrade with one of the heavyweight titles. Granted, they were the SmackDown titles because they were on SmackDown at the time, but now they're both on Raw, and I just feel like that is sort of foreshadowing that those two could potentially win Money in the Bank this year. And given the performances that these two are capable of, both Andrade and Zelina, I feel like they are championship bound. I feel like this could be their year, and they started off the new year. If post WrestleMania is essentially the start of the new year in terms of WWE's landscape, I feel like this was the perfect start to their new year. And you know, if Andrade is not part of the Money in the Bank ladder match, I feel like he might be getting a match with Finn Balor for the IC Championship, because usually the pay-per-view after the shakeup is the last one in which everyone fights each other in co-branded matches. So I feel like Joe, when he comes back, he's probably going to end up on Raw. But if he's still on SmackDown, then that means one of the titles has to go back to Raw. So I feel like if Joe is not on Raw and they keep him on SmackDown, that means the IC title has to go back to Raw. And I feel like Andrade is the perfect person to put the belt on for if they have to bring it back to the red brand.
What about you, JP3?
I agree with that. I did not pick him for the Money in the Bank, but I agree with what you said about the IC title. One of the coolest things about him, being on SmackDown and Raw, when he debuted on SmackDown, he had a match with AJ, prove that he could go. Then he put on clinics with Ray, so he knew that he was already doing his thing as a performer. When he comes back to Raw, however, one thing that I really appreciate is that they're bringing back the essence of what Zelina Vega brought to him as a whole in NXT. You see, his story in NXT is he was really, really good, but just not good enough. They're not playing like he's not good at all, and Zelina Vega is the difference. Sometimes with heel managers, you have a weak champion who defends, and it's all because of the manager being slick and dirty. But with him, he's actually really, really, really good. She just makes that extra little bit of difference at the end. So with this debut match against Finn Balor, that was the whole story with the match. It was competitive, it was great, but at that very end, when he just wasn't good enough, she interfered and did one thing, and made a huge impact, and it gave him the victory. So that right there is something that I think they could do with other superstars. Hopefully they can take some of that booking essence from NXT with the characters and let it continue on. And I think that he'll be great, especially if they do have that IC championship match. I can totally see her being the reason that he wins it.
By the way, I just realized this. A couple of the people who went to Raw are part of married couples. Aleister Black and Ricochet, they're now officially part of Raw. Aleister Black is married to Zelina Vega, so it would make sense for her to follow along. Also, the Usos and Naomi, Jimmy and Naomi are married. So, yeah, it's good camaraderie to keep them, to keep the couples on the same brands. So that what's interesting to me, though, is, and we're going to mention him in a little bit, Buddy Murphy. We know, I don't know if he's still involved with Alexa Bliss or not, but he's on SmackDown now, and as far as I know, Alexa Bliss is still on Raw. So,
well, yeah. Plus, you got Andrade and Charlotte. They're not married, but they're in a relationship, and they're on separate. But yeah, but it's different with a married couple. Naomi and Jimmy were on separate brands, but when they got married, they eventually started being together. They were together on SmackDown.
Speaking of getting up, Becky two belts, still running around with two belts, has yet to split up the belts. I don't think that's happening anytime soon. And
I didn't think it was ever gonna. I didn't think they were ever gonna unify the titles.
Nah, that goes back to a whole other can of worms of not enough belts for the women, but we're not going to get on that right now. You have Becky come out cutting her promo, talking about, wash, rinse, repeat, smacking heads off of dopes. And she is greeted by Natalya, who I swear must have had that shit written on her hand, because that was the most robotic promo I've ever seen. This is the first time I can honestly be on. Let me be honest. This is the first time I was happy to hear Lacey Evans' music, because I couldn't wait for that promo to end.
Yeah, Lacey Evans is doing her thing, man.
Yeah, I mean, she got to clean up the performance aspect of it, the wrestling aspect. I expected her to come out and look like a world beater, especially if you haven't done shit but walk up and down a ramp, and now you're in the title picture. I think she needed to go out there and smash Natalya.
Let me
Like,
ask.
shit.
Let me.
She
Let me.
got. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
Let me ask you this, because one of the biggest things that was wrong with Lacey Evans over the past couple weeks is that, and the same problem can be said for EC3. They brought her up to the main roster, and then had nothing really to do with her except have her walk up and down the ring. Whereas if they had kept her in the black and yellow brand for a little bit longer, she could have continued to enhance her skills and been more ready for the main roster come post WrestleMania. So, and that's my thing, is like, she was getting better. She was getting better. And then they brought her up, and then she got rusty. It's part of the same reason why Kurt Angle had to retire so soon after joining the WWE, is because he was having match after match after match on the indie circuit, and then they put him in a desk job position on TV when he comes to WWE, and he wrestles less and less and less, and he says, I literally succumbed to ring rust because my body was rusting on me, and that's why he had to retire at Mania this year, whereas if he had kept on wrestling, he could have kept on going for a few more years. And now we have Lacey Evans, who's in a position of, like, we kept her on the shelf for a bunch of weeks and she got a little rusty, and now she's trying to find her footing again. So
yeah, but as far as Lacey Evans goes, the whole walking up and down the ramp thing, right? I think the reason why it bothered me so much, and why now her being in the title picture bothers me, is she didn't do anything with walking up and down there. Like, if she was able to walk up and down that ramp and woman's right a couple of people and drop a couple of people, like sleep them, then she appears as a threat. She appears to be that person that at any given moment during a match, if she catches you with that woman's right, it's over. Kind of like the equivalent of Kane walking down, choke slamming everybody, leaving bodies everywhere, and walking out. You get that sense of danger from that person. But walking out in pinup girl outfits and waving your hand and blowing kisses, that shit isn't threatening in any way. And now I'm supposed to take and be okay with the fact that she's a threat to Becky. I think she's more of a, they're gonna use Becky to put her into the light, build her as, maybe somebody to watch out for later, but I doubt she takes any of those titles from Becky.
She's a threat to Becky in the same way Francis Ngannou was a threat to Stipe Miocic. She's got that one shot. She's got that one shot that can turn the dynamic of the match entirely in her favor.
Let me tell you something. I made a lot of money on that Stipe fight. I had a house full of people. I had a board on the wall, and every box you check is $5, and nobody picked Stipe that day. I walked away with $1,000 that night. Mad people in my house, and me going, "I'm rich, bitch," and kicking people out. For real, I made a lot of money. I caught Stipe in a 5-round decision. Got paid, punks.
With the whole Becky thing, it don't matter to me if they unified or not. As far as Lacey Evans goes, her match with Natalya was okay. I don't. She didn't fall like she did all the time in the Royal Rumble this year.
Yeah, but you can't hold the Royal Rumble against her, man.
Yeah, that's true. The moonsault, that's the one thing I noticed from the match. Anything when she finished, she hit. I was happy that she didn't actually end it with the woman's right. Now, I agree with what you say about it could have been built as a good finisher if it was built as a good finisher. But then on Raw, she cracked Becky with it and she no-sold it. So I think the fact that seeing that did happen and then she hit her with the woman's right in the match and then went up top for the moonsault, I like that better. The moonsault itself, she hit her with her thighs so hard on her abdominals. Did you guys notice that?
I swear, if Natalia's pants weren't full of fecal matter after that moonsault, I would be surprised.
Because that was, you could see it on her face too. She was like, "Oh gosh," like that. That because it was like it's pretty impactful. So that was the one thing I remembered more than anything, which in turn, like the blood with the Miz, it made the moonsault look nasty. It made it look brutal.
And after that, we had Jimmy and Jey Uso making their Raw debut.
Yeah, the Usos are here.
Yeah, man. Like I said, we touched on it during the tag division segment, but you know, with them coming, you also get Naomi, and Naomi tagged with Bailey against the Iconics.
I'm still digging
Got
the
the win.
Iconics. I like the Iconics.
Speaking of Bailey, let's touch on this whole Bailey Sasha Banks behind the scenes drama that, you know, the rumors and the reports of, you know, they were protesting at WrestleMania, Sasha Banks not doing the Wendy Williams show, threatening to quit. The skeptic in me thinks it's a work. The realist in me thinks that they don't know what to do with these two girls, and they put the tag titles on them, A, because there were two big stars, and B, to kind of shut them up. And I think they used it to shut them up because they wouldn't have been so mad about it if they had to drop them at me. What do you thought?
I agree with you 100%. I think that's why they did it, is because they wanted to shut him up. And I think that's the reason that it pissed Sasha Banks off so much, that because I heard that it got told very late that they were losing the titles, and then they ended up losing the titles, and then, you know, Sasha's pissed off. And then she skipped that show. You know, I know what she's doing. We all know what she's doing, and they're not going to do it. So she knows that she's got a free card. She can do whatever she wants. She cancel shows. She can send tweets, talk shit, follow AEW, follow Kenny Omega, unfollow WWE, and she knows that one or two things are going to happen. Either number one, they're going to fire her, or number two, they're not going to do shit because they don't want her to go to AEW. So they're just going to let her do everything, not put her on TV, and then she's just going to keep talking shit until something happens. And then if she keeps talking shit, watch, she'll come back, maybe have a program with Becky, you know, lose that program. Maybe, or they'll give her the title for a week and then have her lose it on her first defense, like every single one of her title reigns.
Mm-hmm. What are your thoughts, Nico?
Oh boy. Well, shoot. Well, I think it's
Sasha. She's mad. She hears us. She wants to talk.
Thank you for calling Casa Rigoli.
Well, as I talk over the phone that's ringing right now, I will say that whatever we've heard, I think it's safe to say that none of the anger Sasha and Bailey have had has been towards the Iconics themselves. It's been towards,
not at all. Not at all.
It's been more so towards
the book.
You know, yeah, because like they wanted to do things with those tag team titles. They definitely weren't the only women in the locker room saying we want a tag team division. We want a tag team division because, yeah, that opens up more doors for the women to do stuff on TV. So and hence the Iconics are over the moon right now, getting to hold those titles because it means they get to do more stuff, and it means that all the work they put in for the past decade and a half has gone somewhere. But yeah, they had an idea for what they wanted to do, and then it got changed on them last minute, and so in a way, I can sympathize with them because, like, maybe they're mad more so at the treatment of the titles than they are at the treatment of themselves. Because, like, the titles, you want a lengthy reign to help make those things prestigious. And now for the first champion's reign to end so quickly, like Tyler Bate even got 6 months with the UK title. And then Pete Dunne took it for 6 years and did tremendous things with it. But the Boston Hug Connection only got like a month. So,
and it was probably right. They probably swerved him. They probably, like you said, told him to shut up and made him think they were going to have a long reign, and knew that at the last minute they could just take it away.
I mean,
but also, I have to say this. Since winning the titles, the Iconics have not really been on the winning side of things. Like they have the belts, but they're losing.
Yeah, but can I be honest with you? In those losing efforts, they've done more with those titles than Bayley and Sasha did.
Right, and they've
been more entertaining.
What was it? The Brooklyn Bells.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I want to see more of. That kind of thing, where they get the jobber teams and make them seem like the best team ever and beat them easily. And then when they do get a program with a more established tag team, like, maybe Asuka and Kairi, then they can have a big competitive match and then win in a heel fashion or lose, whatever the way it may come. But I think that it's not the titles that make the wrestler, it's the wrestlers that make the titles. And as long as they keep doing what they're doing and they keep building themselves and their own brand as heels, it's going to bring prestige to the titles.
I hope so, because I want to see those titles do well. And because the titles are so young, I would really much like to see, no matter who holds the titles, I would like to see whoever's holding them go on a bit of a winning streak so that those titles mean something more. Because the more I see the Iconics in taking the pin in various matches, the more I'm concerned for those titles' future, because it makes me feel like, has the company given up on those titles already? And I don't want to see them give up on those titles, because there are a lot of women down in NXT who are thinking to themselves, there's another opportunity for me right there once I get to the main roster. So I have less reason to worry about the way they're going to book me, because I have that potential opportunity. And for them to treat the titles like that, so young in the title's existence, it makes me worried, and I can't help but wonder if it makes the other people worried.
See, but this is where we get into the whole can of worms of too much talent, not enough to do, and you're building a tag team division, and you're saying that NXT talent, can come up and say, "Hey, I could get in on that," but what tag teams do you know in NXT that they're building that are legit tag teams? The Shayna Baszler, Jessamine Duke, and whatever her other name is,
Marina Shafir.
Yeah,
they might get split up.
Scrubs.
You got those other two, Vanessa Bourne and Aaliyah. Is it Aaliyah and Vanessa Bourne? I think.
Yes, it is Aaliyah and Vanessa Bourne.
Yeah, they're a tag team.
All right, but
they still need to be built, though.
Exactly. And in the WWE, in the main roster, you have the Riot Squad, which they split up because Liv Morgan is now on SmackDown. So unless they keep Ruby and Sarah together, right, and they make them a legit tag team, which I can see, because let's be honest, Ruby and Sarah are the better two wrestlers out of the three. Liv Morgan she's young, she has some developing to do. I just don't think there's enough titles. Men, they have like 39 titles, right? Does it water down the brand a little bit? Yes, but in watering down the men's titles water down the brand because there's so many of them. But if they added just one more women's title, that gives these up and coming women and these mid-carders who aren't exactly stars yet an opportunity to shine inside of storylines that are compelling. You're forcing down 8-woman tags and stuff down my throat because you have all this talent in the back and nothing to do.
That's the same story as what they do with all their superstars. You know how many 6-man tags and 8-man tags they always want to throw together? I mean, there's a common theme when it comes to all this stuff, to be honest with you. It's all Vince. It's all Vince McMahon and Triple H. There's a common theme. The stuff that Triple H books is fantastic. The stuff that Vince books is 100% trash.
Nico, and he's like,
I honestly don't disagree. I don't disagree, and I feel like we should maybe just move on to the next topic before I go on a tangent of some kind, because I feel like we've hammered this
brother. Hey, brother, this isn't your normal breakdown show. This isn't the place where we're PC. This is AD Nasty and JB3. If you want to go on a tangent, as a matter of fact, JB3, let's give him the floor, my friend. Tangent away.
Yeah,
this is a segment where my boy Nico actually goes on a rant.
But didn't you say you wanted to keep this show under an hour? We're already at 36 minutes, and we still haven't gotten to SmackDown. Yeah,
an hour and 15 is fine by me. Take it away, brother, because I'm tired of yelling.
Well, I don't disagree with anything you guys said. It like Vince has lost his marbles at this stage of his life. And Triple H knows what the hell he's doing, and it's just bothersome to see all that work that he's put into so many great characters go to waste on network television. That's what I'll say. To end this part of the show on a positive note, I will say that the match itself with Naomi and Bayley and the Iconics was pretty good.
Yeah, it was all right. And last but not least, the big moment.
Man, hold on. We're gonna say something.
Okay.
Let's let the cat out of the bag about something that's been happening for the past year and a half. And I don't care who disagrees with me. I'm gonna go ahead and say it. You wanna know what one of the biggest problem is Bayley fucking sucks, man. Okay?
Oh wow.
She does. She sucks. Okay? Her match in NXT with Sasha, both of them, and even the one with Asuka and Nia Jax, I loved it. Her reign, great. As soon as she got to Raw, whether it be her booking or whether it be her bullshit promos, she sucks, bro. Bayley sucks. And she's making it horrible for everybody. She's probably the reason that Asuka got such a bad run. You know what I'm saying? Because Asuka did the same thing. Killed it in NXT. Sucks. I don't even look at Asuka the same anymore. I see her and I'm like, I hope she gets a kick in. Yeah, Bayley sucks.
I don't think Bayley, her in-ring sucks. Her character and her performance and promos.
She has the worst back elbow in the business. She needs to watch some Kenny Omega matches. Just gonna say that.
Bayley sucks. Oh no!
Yeah, the last thing that happened on Raw that we should bro. A couple things. We got Cedric Alexander making his debut, and also Rey Mysterio went to Raw. He got destroyed by Lars Sullivan, which was actually kind of funny. And that running sit out powerbomb was destructive.
Mm-hmm. And it's not the diving headbutt. And last but not least, the man who built the house of SmackDown, AJ Styles, moves to Raw. I don't know how I feel about that. I wanted him to stay on SmackDown. What do you think, Nico, about AJ Styles moving to Raw?
I also wanted him to stay on SmackDown simply because that was his town. That was his yard, as Roman Reigns would say, because we like to say things are yards. But, you know, what more could he have honestly done on SmackDown that he hadn't already done? At least now he has some new faces to compete against. And I know for a fact that a lot of people have been hoping for a match between AJ and Seth Rollins for a long time. And now here we are. Roman Reigns is out of the picture. And we can have these two go at it in the main event scene. Maybe throw in Braun from time to time. Maybe throw in Andrade from time to time. But yeah, AJ has some new faces to fight against that he didn't have to fight for the past couple of years.
All right. So it comes to that part of the show.
Hey, real quick,
rate
AJ,
Raw.
AJ, sorry. AJ is my pick to win the Money in the Bank. AJ Styles.
I'm not gonna have a Money in the Bank pick until next week. I gotta think about it a little bit.
We don't even know who's in Money in the Bank. I just made a prediction that if you were ever to pick someone who was going to win Money in the Bank, I felt Andrade was that guy.
They both should.
Well, Nico, on this show, and you've been a guest on our show before, you know we rate our stuff from 1 to 5.
We're not rating this shit, bro.
5 being yay. Nico, you had to give Raw 1 to 5 rating. What do you give it? Taking into account the roster, the moves, everything, the name changes, everything.
Adonis.
I'm going to give it a 2.5.
You gave it a free pass.
What's up?
I thought we were doing a free pass today.
Nah, you know what? Nobody gets a free pass on this show. There are no free passes. You earn everything you get here. JB3, my brother, 1 to 5. What do you give Raw? Nico gave it a 2 point. What'd you give it, Nico? 2.5?
Yes, a 2.5.
I'm giving it a 2.5 as well. It would have been a 3.5, but I'm docking a point for the stupid name change of the War Raiders. I'm never gonna call them what they're War Raiders. They're the War Raiders. They're Hanson and Rowe, the War Raiders.
I'm sorry, sir. Would you like to step here and enjoy the Viking experience?
Man, I hope they get copyright issues for that, and I hope they have to get rid of that name.
Oh wow.
Here I'm gonna give Raw 2.5. 2.5 across the board. Right down there's a lot of things that can be fixed. Like I said, I'm not gonna go too harsh on it and give it, the old stinker 1.5 because we're gonna see where they go with it.
One more thing.
What's up?
We mentioned Cedric Alexander. I hope they treat him well. And they also brought in Eric Young. His Sanity brothers are trying to get their release from the company, but Eric Young is staying. So I hope they do something good with Eric Young.
Eric ain't young. Eric is old. So,
but
his trip to the Indies might as well be a trip to the retirement home because once he leaves the WWE, they're not bringing his old ass back.
He could probably get some good indie bookings. I don't know. Maybe probably not AEW though. Yeah, Nico, you mentioned it. As we're going into SmackDown, a lot of wrestlers are asking for their releases. It's getting more and more and more because Vince is losing his marbles. He's lost it all. I don't even want to watch Raw and SmackDown anymore, guys. I really don't. Like I consider just staying. Screw it. I'll just do the podcast and have no idea what happened. I'll just watch YouTube or something. I'll just catch up. I'll read about it. Like
Can't do that to me. Can't do that to me. You're supposed to be the knowledgeable one. Goddammit.
The Raw and SmackDown
around here.
I'll give you the month, bro. But if WWE doesn't, like I said, it's the shakeup. They don't fix this.
The Raw and SmackDown breakdown will become basically YouTube playing 2K19, doing universe mode, and booking a better show than the one we're seeing on TV.
It would be better. It would be better.
Moving on to SmackDown. SmackDown opens up with the KO show.
Oh man, I love
it.
The
New Day.
The Big O.
The Big O. You know what? That put a smile on my face. So that whole little segment, the little breakdowns that they had throughout the show of him eating the pancakes and him trying to do the intro. Come from the loins. Go from the plums. I don't have plums. What do you mean you don't have plums? That whole segment, that whole part, man. The New Day, like I say it all the time, man. I'm glad they didn't break them up. And yeah, man. It was good to see a lighthearted, fun segment for a change. It's nothing too serious. but it had a good payoff at the end. The match at the end of the show was great, and close to the end of the show was great, and Kofi still running around with that belt, which is always good to see. And yeah,
Big Kofi.
the New Day still on SmackDown. Awesome.
Well, 2/3 of the New Day is on SmackDown. Big E is, for now, he's injured. For all we know, there still could be some shakeups left to happen when he finally gets off the shelf.
I hope not. If they do that, that'd be pointless to even have the superstar shakeup. And I get it, like, we can't do it because he's injured, or even someone from next week showing up, like to try to figure it out, like Samoa Joe or something. Like, where's Samoa Joe gonna go? We assume he stays on SmackDown, right?
Mm-hmm.
I was just saying something for the sake of saying something, but where I see this going is, Big E is on the shelf right now, as I just said. Kevin Owens is now an honorary member. I feel like they might be setting something up where Big E could be jealous of, like, I'm gone for a few weeks and you replace me. So
that'd be cool. Because then they got to lead to something. Maybe a program with Big E and Kofi.
Think so?
They've left this door open that we can interpret it in a lot of ways, but in terms of short-term booking, this was a good decision. Having Kevin Owens sort of fill the void of ridiculousness that Big E has left behind, because Kevin Owens is one of the most adaptable people in that locker room.
I agree, and his comedic timing is like near perfect.
Mm-hmm. Not bad for a Canadian.
There was not a lot of action on SmackDown as far as superstars. There was a lot of like just announcements, like Heavy Machinery. I don't even know if they had a match. I can't remember.
They didn't.
Mickey
didn't have a match.
Apollo, Chad Gable is on SmackDown now.
Yes.
So he and Rude got split up. So it's going to end up being like, Buddy Murphy's on SmackDown now. So Murphy and Gable, dude, watch. They're going to do it. Watch, they're going to do it. They're going to be like, that sounds cool. Tag team champs. Gable is going to have tag team championships with a bunch of different people.
Oh man,
Wrestling tortures us. Wrestling tortures us. We love it, but it tortures us so much.
Yeah, I don't know. On a lighter note, Finn Balor moved over to SmackDown. He brings the IC title with him. Nico pointed out Samoa Joe being ill and unable to travel was probably why they didn't announce him on Raw. Finn Balor had a nice little match with Ali. I'm gonna say it, Mustafa Ali. I don't care what they book him as. He's Mustafa Ali. He's always gonna be Mustafa Ali on this show.
Oh man, I'm so looking forward to see some Mustafa Ali and Buddy Murphy matches. Oh man. And Finn Balor versus Buddy Murphy. Oh my goodness. See, they got so many good. I'm just ready to see some good wrestling. If I'm gonna watch, I want to see good wrestling, and I think that SmackDown has a good opportunity to do that. I mean, you got Finn Balor has an opportunity. So many people he can wrestle against.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, SmackDown has done a smart job of filling their roster with guys that that the rest of the roster can really have A+ matches with. Like,
it's true.
Because we already saw one with Finn Balor and Mustafa Ali. We have Buddy Murphy in the mix now. We have I'm blanking right now, but we have great talent on the Blue brand.
Like JB3 mentioned, he doesn't get much mic time and not a lot of TV time. But as far as in-ring work, Apollo Crews is that guy. He's good. I could easily see a Buddy Finn Balor program brewing in the mix. That'll be. I think that's an instant classic right there.
Absolutely.
And not to mention, I mean, Roman Reigns, will bring him up later, but he can go if he needs to go. We talked about the women's division, so we got to mention the Iconics coming out, and then Bayley comes. Bayley makes Bayley's there now.
Well, first Ember Moon.
Yeah, Ember Moon and comes out.
Let's not overlook Ember Moon.
We shouldn't.
I I
We never
think
will.
I think her promo work comes off a little, for lack of a better term, corny. But if you can keep her solid in ring work and get her a partner that can do all the lip running and keep her off the mic, right? In my opinion, I just think she's corny. I think she's a little cringy when she has a mic in her hand. But Ember Moon in the ring, she's that shit, man. She's that good, bro.
Yeah, especially the Eclipse is really, really good. They also had Paige come out and finally announce her title. You know, I was kind of weirded out because she said Asuka, and I was like, huh?
Yeah, what weirded me out about it was, remember last week when I told you I thought it was going to be the Sky Pirates coming out?
Mm-hmm.
And she said, "Oh, I have somebody brand new." And then you say brand new. Oh, it is the Sky Pirates. And then she goes, "Oscar, bitch,
Huh?
you ain't new."
Yeah, she ain't. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe they want Io Shirai to have like more time in NXT and get a championship ring. But I didn't like. Where's Shayna Baszler? Like, where's she at? Where are they going to even have her come up at all? See, when
No,
it comes to
no.
NXT, I think they limited a lot of those because they'll be able to debut in the future. They don't need a shakeup, basically. You know.
And here's what I'll say about Asuka and Kyrie, because Adonis and I were talking about this before we went on air. We at least know that Asuka and Kyrie were a team in Japan.
In New Japan, yeah.
So they do have experience wrestling with each other.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not one of it. So it's not like they split up a bona fide team to form a team that didn't make sense. This is a team that still makes sense in terms of like the outside of WWE canon playbook.
Yeah, but
And
most people don't know that. You know what they're going to see. They're going to see that they're both Japanese girls, and that's why they're together. That's what the WWE casual fan base is going to see. They don't know about Shimmer or any of the stuff or Stardom or all that stuff that was over there. You know, if you know, it'd be cool if they could get some footage and maybe they could have played some of their old stuff. Like no one knows this, and they were a tag team back in the day. Blah 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 blah. Well, yeah, Nico, like, yeah, the hardcore fan base is going to know that. But
the funny thing is that their rivals were Io Shirai and another woman's wrestler from over there. So that's the funny thing on top of that.
But Nico did say that they had good matches and chemistry, so they'll have good matches together.
You saw it in the spot where they what they did to Mandy with the whip into the rope, into the knee, into the drop. Yeah, you saw the spot. So, you know, that's not something you just make up in the back. They obviously have a chemistry and a rapport together. And I look forward to the future of women's tag team division on SmackDown. I think that's the whole purpose of them building it.
I can dig it.
I can dig it too.
All right. Where do you guys want to go from here?
By the way, Becky Lynch was also in the ring while that tag team shenanigans was happening.
And
I just want to point out that how she was like, okay, they're fighting. I'm looking at this.
I'm out.
I'm just going to slowly duck out of the ring and let them fight while I laugh my ass off.
She pulled the Kevin Owens over the last 3 weeks on the Kevin Owens show. Mm-hmm. He says a couple of things. He puts the mic down. And he dips off.
which reminds me, the way she stared at Braun after he pretty much destroyed EC3 on Monday, that was hilarious as well, because she's just like staring him down. She's got both belts in her hands, and she's just like, "What? You want some? I got this. You don't. how you like that?" And Braun just walks off, and he's like, "God damn it!" But it was funny because like she knows how to have. She knows how to keep that swagger going. Like she truly has become WWE's Conor McGregor, and I think that's why they haven't unified the belts yet. Is because they want her to do what Conor McGregor didn't, and that's defend both belts on both shows.
Yeah,
which no one has done that.
I just have one small little
Daniel Cormier has defended both titles, but I get what you're coming from, JB3.
Well, I say that I thought that they took it away from him and gave it to John.
All right.
They did, but he was able to at least defend both titles while he defended the light heavyweight title while he held it, and then he won the heavyweight title and defended it while he was still light heavyweight champion. So he got to be a defending champion while holding both titles.
Mm-hmm.
I gotcha. Okay.
On the Becky Lynch thing, I just want one little caveat on it, and it may sound like I'm nitpicking in a little bit. Becky won the fans over with her promo skills, with her dedication, with that never say die, every person attitude. You know, I have a dream. I'm just like you guys. Nothing was handed to me. Great. We on your side. Now, keep us on your side because her promos are getting stale. Like I said earlier in the show, it's wash, rinse, repeat. She's saying the same shit over and over and over.
But I think
I get it. A lot of people have catchphrases, and a lot of the promos do sound the same to a certain extent, but it's almost like she's coming out and literally saying the same thing she said the night before last, and the week before that, and the week before that.
But I think the reason for that is because
for these belts give me the right to go 2 belts. These, and I pick a fight anywhere. I'll smack the heads off of these dopes. Say something else.
But I think,
all right, we know.
I think the reason for that repetition might be because they're still figuring out where they want to go with her. They have Lacey Evans mapped out for the red title. They still might not know where they want to go with the blue title. So they're trying to figure things out. And that's
but Nico, that's not an excuse to repeat the same lines. Here, real quick. Say this. Well, this is what I said last week. It doesn't matter. We don't know what we're doing. Say it again. That's not an excuse.
Then don't have her on the show. Then don't have her on the show if you don't have anything for her.
Yeah, but then we won't have a show because 90% of the people they don't have anything for.
Fair point.
I mean, not to mention Vince McMahon has been rewriting the show on Monday afternoons and just changing shit for no reason.
Like, yo, I live 10 minutes away from the WWE building. I can have an accident. He can have an accident.
No, just drive by with a megaphone and say, "Hey, do your jobs better," and then drive off.
I'm from the hood. We do other kind of drive-bys.
Yeah, that's why I said use a megaphone and not something else.
I'm just playing. I'm a drive by Stanford with a brick. It's just break a window every day with a note on it. Fix shit.
That entire building is windows. You'll be there for about a year.
I got a couple. I could do one a week.
Hey, you want to know? You want to know? I'm surprised someone didn't get a brick thrown at him. That was Elias.
Oh,
no, I don't remember if it was on Raw or SmackDown because I think it was on both, but he got booed again, like him and Kevin Owens got booed. He said that line, but it was a sports team line, and he said it perfectly timed, and he got booed for like 3 minutes straight. But yeah, he came out on SmackDown, and it was pretty awesome because Vince McMahon announced him as the biggest acquisition in SmackDown Live history. So now that he's there, and everyone before that was like, it's Roman, and it was Elias. And then he's doing his thing, and then all of a sudden, I know why they did that. Because if Vince would have announced Roman would have got booed. Mm-hmm. You know he would. He needed Elias to gather heat so that Roman can get cheered when he interrupted him. And that's what happened. Roman Reigns came out. It's weird that Roman's going to be on SmackDown.
I think it's a fresh start. I think it takes away from the... It helps Seth not be in Roman's shadow because it's weird to see that Roman. All right, take it into real fighting aspects. If I was the lightweight champion and you two are my friends, but you two guys are also lightweights, right? And I have that belt, and because of circumstances that I can't control, I have to relinquish said belt. I go away, and then JB3, in my absence, you win a couple of fights, and now you're champ. but you become champ a week before I return. Now I'm back and you're my friend. It's real hard for me to say, hey, I'm back. I'm coming back for my title. That's my title. When my boy has it.
Right, and the reason WWE does that is because there's so many stories to tell. But then with the MMA, you got camps and you got loyalty, and from tradition, I would have spoken to you before I accepted the title shot, and we would have been like, "Hey, are you going to move up a weight? Are you not going to move up a weight class? Are you not? Can I take the shot? Should I take the shot?" And then I probably would have declined it.
Yeah, but as men and as true friends, I would never tell my friend to not live their dream, because even though we both are in the same division, we both want the same thing. The dream is always to be the best, and who's the best? The champ. And who knows if I return or I don't return? Why would my selfishness prevent you from winning a title? Now, with that being said, I saw a promo the other day where Seth is standing there with his belt and Roman's standing next to him, and it's kind of awkward.
Yeah.
Like, I felt awkward watching it, because if I was Roman, I'd be looking at him like, your lunch.
I never lost that title.
Yeah, I lost it. Hold on to that for a couple seconds. I'm gonna take it back.
Maybe he should go ask Ben how it feels.
They all of Roman to SmackDown, giving him a fresh look, giving Tuesday nights, the big dog, and like you said, it was the house that AJ Styles built. Well, it's gonna be the yard that Roman Reigns runs. I think it's only a matter of time before Roman Superman punches Kofi's head off.
If he faces Kofi, Kofi has to win.
At least the first time. Like, so? I feel like this is I feel like if they were to do Roman versus Kofi, Kofi will get the first one up on Roman, and then they could simply say maybe he hasn't shaken off all the cobwebs of leukemia just yet, because we've seen Roman at his most dominant in 6-man tags as of late, but in terms of like one-on-one competition, the only one-on-one match he's had so far was Drew McIntyre at Mania, and it didn't feel much like a Mania match.
No, it felt more like a Raw match.
But now that he's on, and his first time on SmackDown, what does he do? Punches Elias, punches Vince McMahon, then walks off and gets cheered. Although they did have a dark match where he spears Randy Orton. Randy Orton runs out of the ring, and they don't even count the match out. The match just suddenly ends with like no pinfall or anything. That was one of the weirdest things I read today leading up to today's show, is that they had a dark match with no official winner, but they treated Roman like the winner anyway. Well,
in real life, if we're fighting and I clock you in the face and you go running, I won that fight.
James, you were going to say something?
Oh, I was just going to say, it looks like we're going to see a Randy Orton versus Roman Reigns feud. And that's actually fresh. And hey, Randy was the one who took Roman out of the Royal Rumble in what, 16? 17? It was 17. And yeah. I think that would be a good feud. I would love to see a Superman punch turned into an RKO. We already seen the spear turn into an RKO. Oh, I would like to see his big dive, his tope over the top, turn into an RKO right on the floor, maybe through the steps.
Can we somehow turn a drive-by into an RKO?
I got a brick.
Roman's drive-by, not the other drive-by.
If he could, he could do it on the hardest part of the ring.
God damn it. Keep talking.
Thank you for calling Casa Regoli. For Espanol, Marcus Numero Dos.
It's Roman, I'm telling you. It's still Sasha, bro. She knows your number. She's still calling. She's she's gonna make you answer for all what
she's gonna ask to be on our breakdown show and then no show like Wendy Williams. Too soon.
I'm gonna hope she does something, because I'll tell you what.
You know what?
For the women's division, I'll say this. The last thing I'll say with the women's division, no matter who it is in that ring, no one has a better match with Sasha than they have with Sasha Banks. Think about it. Everyone's best match has been with Sasha Banks. Nia Jax, best match, Sasha Banks. Ronda
Speaking of Nia
Rousey,
Jax,
Sasha Banks.
speaking of Nia Jax, I don't, bad health or injuries on anyone, but the WWE roster is safe for another year. Nia
Why'd you
Jax,
have?
Nia Jax blows out both ACLs and is on the shelf for 9 to 12 months.
How did she do that?
Just to
Do,
wear and
do
tear.
you want me to answer that, or do you want Nico's PC answer?
It's just wear and tear. Like she's.
How about I give you the correct answer? She's out of shape, doesn't do cardio, and doing 2 simple bumps destroyed her shit. That's the answer. And moving right along, 2 other women who have joined SmackDown. We have Liv Morgan and the senior statesman Mickie James moving also over to SmackDown.
Mickie James is like the Miz. She was on SmackDown, then she went to Raw. Now she's back on SmackDown.
I think Mickie James serves her purpose well. She puts over the young talent. She's somebody in the back who, in her younger days, made some mistakes, rubbed people the wrong way. And I think now she's more of a mentor, and she still has great talent. She can still go in the ring, and she makes, she has her botches here and there, but I just think it's more of people being inexperienced working with her, not necessarily her itself. And yeah, I was just kidding about Nia Jax being out of shape and all that. She irks me, man. She hurts too many people. But yeah, man, she's really hurt. You know who I feel bad for in the whole situation? Tamina.
Because they're not going to do anything with her.
Yeah. And she's going right back to being sitting in the back.
I mean, they were a good tag team. I will give them that. Like, she hurt people, but their tag team was cool. Like, they were believable that they could just destroy anybody, even though they never did. They could.
Nico, what are your feelings on the whole Nia Jax situation, brother?
I'm gonna be more PC with this. Simply,
no, this ain't the show for that. Be you. Say what you want.
Look, we've seen it with The Undertaker before. Like, you do certain spots with a certain amount of size, and it eventually takes a toll on your knees. The knees are usually the first to go, and then it's the back, and then it's pretty much your ability to move in general. Like Great Khali, he's known for one thing, and that's not being able to move, because he had too much size and not enough mobility and not enough use of. It's weird that he runs a wrestling school, but he himself was not the best wrestler. But nevertheless, it sucks for Nia Jax. I hope she gets better. I hope her knees get stronger over time. And considering her message of trying to empower women no matter what size they are or how they look, I hope that she's able to recover in a way that allows her to keep her frame as much the way it is as she can, so she can continue pushing that message and not be like a conformist when she returns simply because of the fact that she had to. And also, the more we talk about the women and the like not being enough belts and the lack of TV time for certain women, it makes me want. It makes me wish that those rumors that we've been hearing for about a year now about the possibility of an all women's show on the network, it makes me want to see that come true so that more opportunities can be realized and they can have more time to show what they have as opposed to being lost in the shuffle of the 30 men's titles that they have.
Nico, what are our running time? Where are we at?
We are at 108, 109.
All right, we're going to try to keep this next under 10 minutes. JB3, what are your final thoughts on the whole Nia Jax situation?
I hope she gets better. I hope she gets better in her health and in her skills after that.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. As somebody who had a lot of sports injuries, the first thing her orthopedics surgeon is going to tell her is if she wants strength in those knees during rehabilitation, and it's not to say that she has to drop 100 pounds, but dropping 30, 40 pounds would be better off on her knees and her mobility. Yeah, for her rehab. So, gentlemen, 1 to 5, you had to rate SmackDown this week. What are we giving it? We'll start with you, JB3.
We have to keep it with the same as Raw. I was not too disappointed with the SmackDown. I wasn't too impressed either. The highlight of the shows for me was really, Elias. Maybe the announcement of Buddy Murphy in the tag division was pretty fun, but I'm gonna have to go 2.5. It was 2.5.
Nico.
So if I gave Raw a 2.5, I'm going to give SmackDown a 3 because everything that was wrong with Raw, SmackDown was able to learn from it and improve, especially with Kevin Owens delivering in every segment they had him in.
This is true. And just for the New Day stuff alone, the announcement of Roman Reigns coming to SmackDown, Finn Balor coming to SmackDown, and the opportunities that the Shakeup presents, I'm going to give it a 3. Right before we sign off, I want to touch on something that Nico had spoken about, that rumor about an all-women show. Do you think that, and we can't obviously speak on being a woman because we all have the opposite plumbing, but do you think that that's a step forward for the women or that's a step backwards?
Okay, so here's the thing.
Because then it becomes 205 Live. And guess what? I don't watch 205 Live.
I wasn't, well, here's the thing. I wasn't going to say that if there was an all-women show, then therefore all the women would become exclusive to that show. We'd still see them on network television. But the main thing that I was going by with that line of thinking was Triple H is going to be booking that all-women show if it comes to existence. And even if you're not watching 205 Live, I know that it's putting on a great product because Triple H is running it and because I hear nothing but positive reviews about it. So basically, again, going back to what James said earlier in the show and what I've said since the first show we did, Vince McMahon has lost his touch, and the less control he has over a show, the better the show has been. And if Triple H is controlling all the shows on the network, then an all-women show run by Triple H, run by guys like William Regal and Fit Finlay, that's going to be well handled, and all the women will get used to the absolute best of their ability, including the reigning champ, Becky Lynch, who you, Adonis, claimed earlier you feel like she's getting stale with her promo work. If they have a game plan with her on a show that's well put together and isn't doing rewrites at the very last minute, we won't have that repetition. We will have some differences from week to week in which she can showcase the best of her ability.
JV3, what are your feelings on an all-women show?
As
presented by Nico. Triple H.
Honestly, I agree with what he says about Triple H, and pretty much anything Triple H has had his hands on has been a positive thing. So when it comes to that, I believe that it would be. I think that he would do a good job, but I think it would be a step back from this perspective. So I don't think that they should need their own show. I think they should be able to use the time that they have. However, Evolution was a huge success. What I think they should do is have more all-women pay-per-view events, maybe a couple more a year, so that they can have those big events and have feuds that will lead to those events. So they don't always have to shove lackluster 5-minute women's matches on Elimination Chamber pay-per-view or a Money in the Bank pay-per-view or a TLC pay-per-view or whatever. When they have those big women's pay-per-views, they can be used for a purpose. Like you got the Money in the Bank coming up. Women are going to have their own Money in the Bank match. Then you got, after that, Extreme Rules is coming up. You could have all women's pay-per-view before SummerSlam And I think that all the confusion with Money in the Bank and Elimination Chamber, they could have some of those stories being built up over time so that they could happen at the WWE Women's Pay-Per-View or special event or whatever you want to call it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I think they should do. Because I think Triple H should run those too. But I think a step forward and that goes with women or men in general, I think that Triple H is the answer. I really believe that the women deserve more focus on their actual skills. Think about the first ever Mae Young Classic. It was so awesome. They had this whole tournament aspect, like they had the UK title tournament, they had the Dusty Rhodes Classic, they had the Mae Young Classic, the Cruiserweight Classic, which I'm still convinced they should do the Cruiserweight Classic from Royal Rumble and have the winner get a shot at WrestleMania. They should call that the Cruiserweight Classic. I have a lot of things not that I would say, but when it comes to that aspect, I think that they could benefit more off of special events, but versus like a weekly show, because that just is more TV that they have to write. Because they're not going to take the women off. Like Nico said, it's not going to be all the women are not going to be exclusively on that show if they have it.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to still write them. They're going to still have Becky on Raw and on that show. And it's going to essentially, it might bring the same effect that, remember when 205 Live first started, they had Raw and then 208, they were everywhere. So, I think that the special event thing could really benefit them.
Yeah.
Especially if the Saudi Arabia deal is going to continue.
Yeah.
I heard that they're not booking Evolution this year.
No. So far, no. I'll keep my thoughts short and sweet. Honestly, like I said, I'll say it once, I'll say it 1,000 times. It's simple. They don't need their own show. They need better booking, and they need at least another title. I don't know if you want to call it the Women's United States title, if the Women's Intercontinental title. I don't know, but you're gonna have to figure out something, because there's too many women, not enough belts, and you got one woman, for better or worse, holding both of them. So that has been the Raw and SmackDown breakdown. Nico Rigoli, Suave, Mr. Man, where can they find you?
Facebook, Twitter, YouTube at Nico Suave Regoli. That's NICOSUAVEREGOLI. Right here at Combat Wrestling Network on YouTube, Combat Wrestling Trivia on Facebook, and at Combat Wrestling, the number 2 on Twitter. Check out these guys every week. They do good work, and they don't get enough views, and I feel like they should. But seriously, yeah, join our group if you love wrestling. If you love wrestling trivia, we'll get you a match as soon as we possibly can. Also, Dedicated to Art is the name of the Facebook page and the YouTube channel. The Instagram and Twitter is at D2A Channel. I do Schmodown reactions there with Case Cornelese and Christopher Doman, and we do the Who Cares Anyway podcast every Friday night. And finally, Multiplex Entertainment is the name of the Facebook group and the YouTube channel. The Twitter is at MultiplexYT. The Instagram is Multiplex Entertainment Network. The TeePublic is tpublic.com/user/multiplex by Sure. And check out my and Zaddy Smith's weekly Intergeekdom discussion show called Crisis on Earthplex every Wednesday, which is today at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
And my brother, JB3, where can the good people find you?
Good people can find me on Facebook. I'm simple. James Walter Berryman III. And I said it before, I'll say it again. Please don't spell out the third. It's 3 eyes like Kurt Angle. Good old Kurt Angle. We'll miss you, buddy. And you can also find me on Combat Wrestling Network here every Wednesday for the Raw and SmackDown breakdown, which could be soon the Raw and SmackDown. Hi, James didn't watch this episode, but he'll still talk about it. Breakdown. And then you can also find me on Combat Wrestling Trivia. You can catch me destroying the heavyweight division if I ever get an opportunity for another one-on-one match. The one-on-one matches are usually dropped every Wednesday. They're really good. If you guys want to watch, play along, see how many points you get. Every time I do, I annihilate everyone.
We're trying to get the matches out as quickly as we can, but we all have lives, and running these leagues are hard. Trust me.
Yeah, it's not hard? Destroying the competition. That's not hard.
Okay, crazy. Okay. And I have been your host, Adonis Nasty Nazario. You can find me on Facebook at Adonis Nazario. You can find me on Full Metal Geek, where I have a match coming up against Nazario Montenegro.
Yeah, they were having fun when they booked that match. They wanted to do a Nazario versus Nazario scenario.
Well, they're booking a god against the guy who was named after the god, so he can go eat a dick. You could also find me. You could also find me on Full Metal, where I'll also be answering some more nerd questions. And you can find me here every Wednesday on the Combat Wrestling Network. Me and JB3 put our hearts and soul into this, this show every week. We hope that people enjoy it. Like, share, subscribe, comment below. There's things that you suggest that you want us to talk about. Feel free to leave them in the comments. And yeah, very soon, 12 to 6 Elbow, where we'll be talking about mixed martial arts, everything in the world of mixed martial arts, UFC, Bellator, Legacy, FC. If it happens in a cage, I will touch on it. Like I said, like, share, subscribe. We need the views. We want people to enjoy the content. We want people to enjoy the show. Join us here on the Combat Wrestling Network every Wednesday between the hours of 3 to 4. We try to get it out as soon as possible, but I work at night a lot of the times, and it's hard to get sleep. So I try to get here at 3. Once again, for my brother, my co-host, JB3, and our guest today, Nico Suave Rigole, this has been the Raw and SmackDown Breakdown. We out this thing. Deuces.